Yeah, I was fucking bad at pumping.
Yeah.
My journey started with me getting my ass kicked, so that's
Yeah.
a whole different thing.
You know what I'm saying? So when I heard that, I was like, she doesn't trust me to protect her, which led back to my childhood. It was like, I'm not a man. I can't do the things a man is supposed to do. Mm-hmm. So then that was my introduction to martial arts. I found a boxing gym maybe the next week.
Welcome to the Warrior's Way Home podcast.
What's up, guys? We are Warrior's Way Home podcast, where we try and reintroduce the warrior mindset back into manhood and teach men how to fight their fight. I'm your boy Travis.
I'm Edmund. How you guys doing today?
And like I said, we are the Warrior's Way Home podcast. Like I said, basically just trying to reintroduce masculinity back into modern day society. Mm-hmm. And how do we do that? And what does it look like for not only us and what we've been learning on the way, but other men and where they feel like they're going on the way to. So that's what the goal of the podcast is, and that's what we're trying to do, and that's what we're trying to do today.
Right. Every man, every woman is on their own journey, but it's important to figure out what this journey means to you. And it's a journey of self-mastery. How do I become the best man I possibly can be?
Yep, that well-rounded man.
Right.
Is what the goal is. Building well-rounded men.
So today on this episode, we're actually going to talk about who we are in our journey through what we are trying to define as masculinity. What does it mean to us? Why are we here in the first place? Why are we even?
Why would we say important?
Why should you listen to us?
Matter?
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if a lot of people even take the time to say that. You know who we are, where we're going, what is it that we're trying to do here. Mm-hmm. So we just made a short list of questions that we want to kind of interview each other with, so that we can basically kind of condense what our journey has been. And we could be here all day talking about our individual past, but I'm sure we will share these things as the podcast goes on. But this is just to give you an introduction, you know, episode 3. Why is it that we're here and why we want to bring this to you guys? Mm-hmm. So Travis, what has been your evolution as a man? What does it look like for you up until now?
You know, honestly, for a long time, growing up even as a teen or early 20s, I had no idea what that even meant. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I actually asked that question quite a bit based off my background. Like, you know, what does it even mean to be a man? Mm-hmm. You know, it's like what. So my journey has been trying to figure that piece out. Mm-hmm. So what does it even mean to be a man? Because I honestly wasn't shown. Mm-hmm. Honestly, wasn't shown that. I've seen pieces of it. One big thing that I was taught, you know, just by osmosis, was you got to work hard. As a man, you got to work hard. You got to work your ass off. You got to provide for your family. So that piece was taught to me, mm-hmm. but not a lot else. Mm-hmm. It's like, so for me, my journey has been a lot of you know, self-discovery. It's like, what does being a man actually mean? Mm-hmm. You know, how does that even operate and work? And a big piece of that has been martial arts has taught me a lot about that piece of it. Mm-hmm. You know, even just, you know, the point of being a protector, and what does that mean? Mm-hmm. You know, that doesn't mean walking around with your fist balled up all the time and angry at the world and everything, but using what you have for others. Mm-hmm. You know, to be in that person who's willing to give, but also to, you know, to take when necessary. Mm-hmm. You know, to and some of the men I've looked up to most have been martial artists. Mm-hmm. You know, and seeing the way they move, and no man's gonna be perfect. Let's just get that out of the way now. It's like no man's gonna be this pinnacle, this perfect meaning of what a man is. Mm-hmm. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to be perfect in every area.
Right.
You know, they want to get on Martin Luther King now because, you know, he had some side chicks and stuff like that, but that doesn't negate everything else he was as a man.
Why do they try to use? Well, I say they is just like society. Anybody who tries to bring down.
It's just trying to throw mud. You know,
mm-hmm.
It's like
it's always infidelity. There's like, oh, that's the worst thing he's ever done. Is, you know, I can't believe he fought for freedom, but he liked women. Oh, how dare you?
Everything now he was led astray. It's
right.
Like, no man is going to be perfect, and you're not going to be perfect in your journey. I for sure haven't been perfect in mine. Mm-hmm. I have fucked up royally. This is like in many ways, but you know, like I said, my thing has been that's been my main question through my life and my journey is like, what is being a man even mean? It's like, what does that even mean? What does it look like for me? Mm-hmm. And I'm figuring out that it looks different for other guys, and there's no like right necessarily or wrong necessarily. There's some foundation pieces that mm-hmm. every man should have,
right?
But there's no like set guideline of what a man should be, you know. So for me, that's been my working on my evolution. It's like, what does it mean to me to be a man? Mm-hmm. It's like for me, it's meant you take care of your family and those around you, whether that be financially or being that protector. It's like my goal is for any, child, woman, even some other guys around me, when they're around me, that there's no really situation that could pop off where it's like they got to worry about how I'm going to react to it, that I'm, going to freak out or lose it or, not be, capable or any of these different things like that, but to be well-rounded is like that I can stand stable.
Mm-hmm.
That's been my journey, is figuring out how to stand stable.
Right.
You stay in my square, nothing can knock you off. And, you're going to stumble, you're going to fall, but, getting back on and being that stable base, not being too explosive, but also not being, that where the wind can just blow you over.
Mm-hmm.
Being in that, that balanced place has been my journey. And like I said, it's taken a lot to get here. It's like, because I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Not even.
Nor should you
not even close.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's been my, my work and my evolution is figuring out what being a man means to me and how do I implement that into my life? How do I become that stable rock? Not just for everybody else, but for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's heavy.
That's been mine.
Yeah. How do you personally build confidence?
For me, it's been testing myself.
Mm-hmm.
For me, confidence comes when I feel like I pass a test.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not talking about math, because that definitely if it was based off a math test, I definitely would have no confidence. Just being real. But no, yeah, being put to the test.
Mm-hmm.
It has helped me. Like I said, martial arts has been a huge proponent of my life,
mm-hmm.
and it's helped me build that confidence where I was very lacking confidence in other areas, but in certain areas I'm solid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. It's like, certain areas like business wise, not knowing what I'm doing here, or not knowing what I'm doing there, relationship wise, not really knowing how to do that. It's like, but the minute you put that gi on, you tie that belt, it's like that confidence is like, it's like, I'm good. I know
mm-hmm.
what's happening here. You throw a punch at me, I'm not freaking out
mm-hmm.
about that. It's like, I'm confident in that. Even if you give me in the face, I'm still confident. You're not going to shake me.
Right.
You're not going to rock me with just that.
Right.
So for me, that's been, putting myself to the test, going through martial arts, going through different challenges, challenging myself, and my beliefs in
mm-hmm.
the things I think I know. Is like, well, do you really know this? Put it to the test.
Mm-hmm.
Put it, you're scared of this, run at it, go tackle that you're afraid of. If I'm afraid of, failing in business or doing that or relationship, I need to go run at that. I need to go challenge myself with that.
Mm-hmm. And
even when I fail, I learn something, but it helps me to build that confidence. It's like, because especially once I know like the worst case scenario, like it's like, what's the worst thing that can happen? You die. It's like, okay, cool.
Then there's no more challenges.
It's like you die, you fail. It's like in business, what's the worst case scenario? You get to close your business, you fail. I've had that happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like afterwards, you're like, once you do it again, you're like, it's like, well, aren't you scared? It's like, no, because all that's gonna happen is I fail, I go broke.
Right.
Like, you can do it again.
Right.
Load up the dice.
That's hard for people though. It's hard for some people.
But you have to, you have to find that out about yourself. It's like, and for me, it's like, there's certain things that I take personally, and I'm not gonna say I'm good in all areas. It's like, there's certain things that like hit a lot harder than others,
mm-hmm.
but there's certain things that like once you've taken some L's in certain things, and once you've gotten some wins under your belt, things become a lot less challenging.
Mm-hmm.
You get a real perspective on that once you start challenging your limits.
Mm-hmm.
It starts putting things in perspective. If you know that you can, run a marathon, or you can do something financially, you can start a business on your own with no money.
Mm-hmm.
You can go talk to that woman at the bar who you have never met her at all, but you're attracted to her, and you can walk up to her without knowing her name and just talk.
Mm-hmm.
And just boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that builds confidence once you start challenging yourself. And like I said, it's not to say that you're not gonna fail, but it's part of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's like once you start challenging yourself and you push past those barriers and you do things even though you're afraid of them,
mm-hmm.
that's when you start building that confidence little by little.
Right.
Mm-hmm. At least that's how it's been for me.
For sure. What are you currently focusing on in your self-mastery journey? Is it fitness, faith, or finances?
There's a lot to the self-mastery piece. We talked about that in the last podcast, nutrition, fitness, health, mm-hmm. spirituality,
mental health.
Mental health. I would say that one of my main focus is, I wouldn't say it's fitness, because I've been doing fitness for so long that it's kind of I don't want to say it's secondary, but it comes naturally.
Well, it should.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, working out really, it's not an option for me anymore to like go work out and different things. Like it's just what I do. So I would say that's not really like a main focus. I would say one of the main focus would be for me digging into spirituality. It's a piece of me that I feel like has been kind of placed on the back burner a bit. Like I've dug into the mind piece of things. I've dug into the body piece of things, working on those pieces of things. But the spirituality thing, getting in touch with that and what that means to me and what that is, I feel like I kind of put that on the back burner while I was doing other things at times. So for me, it's a piece of that. And it all links together. It's like, but for me, digging into who I am on a spiritual sense, who I am in spiritual side of things. What does that mean to me? What does it look like for me? What's my journey going to be on that? Is kind of what I'm starting to dig more into that, and that is a big piece of getting to know who I really am. So for me, that's a big piece right now, and a big thing I'm focusing on is like, who am I?
So what are you doing to work on your faith? That falls into the faith category.
Yeah.
So like, what do you because spirituality can be a bit of a broad subject, but it's not religion necessarily. It's like, what are you doing to look into your faith?
Honestly, spending more time with me and with me is like figuring out exactly, who I am beyond, the trainer, the business owner, all these different things. Like that's not who I am. It's what I do. It's like, okay, I know what I do, but
there's a difference.
Who am I? Who am I? It's like, if I had none of that, who would I be?
Right.
If I was sitting on an island on a rock with nobody around me and nothing to do all day, who would I be in that moment? I was like, and that's what I'm looking at exploring. So a lot of that is, spending time with yourself, getting more into meditation, which I'm going to be honest, I'm not good at. For me, sitting, and quote unquote doing nothing, is not an easy thing. And it's not. I wouldn't even say it's doing nothing, but to sit with myself isn't the easiest thing for me to do. Just because of the way I've lived. So getting more and doing more of that is starting to teach me more about who I am.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's definitely not sitting there doing nothing.
Well, for some people, it feels like it's like, well, you're just sitting there doing nothing. It's like, no, there's a lot's going on.
Right. No, a lot's going on, especially because, like, I run my own YouTube meditation channel. So with that, especially like digging into what that means, and it's not just posting flowery videos with like nice smooth sounds. Like, no, it is a lot of introspection. It is you're sitting down and putting yourself in a place where you have nothing to do, so that you can focus on your mind and your spirit. So you can figure out, okay, what are it's like a scrub. It's like scrubbing your hard drive or like washing the dishes. It's like meditation can be washing the dishes. You know what I'm saying? You're sitting there. If you're focused on what you're doing and your mind starts to wander, it's putting the body in a form of autopilot or like on standby, so that you can do the real work, because the real work is mental, for sure.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely it's for me, it feels more like kind of taking back control of myself. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about it. We're like, you're gonna sit, you're gonna be uncomfortable, you're gonna want to get up, you're gonna want to go. It's like, oh, I should go get some water. Oh, I got this itch. Oh, I forgot to take out the garbage. And it's like, no, you sit. It'll still be there when you finish. You're gonna sit. We're gonna sit here for the next 10 minutes. Next 15 minutes, however long it's gonna be. And we're gonna sit. You're not going to do that. You're not going to get up. You're not going to move around. You don't need to do that. That'll still be here when we finish this. This is what we're doing right now. And also looking at the thoughts. It's like, what thoughts come in those moments? It's like, is this actually a real thought? We talked about in another video. Is this my voice, or is this something else that's coming through? Is that even my thought? Is that even who I really think I am? Or is that just what I've been taught all this time about who I am and who I should be? It's like, and really getting through that and digging through it. So like I said, it's about taking back that control of who I am and who I think even I am, and really digging into that and figure out who's actually really in this, who's actually really animating this body.
Right. Now the watch this. The trippy part is the voice in your head doesn't have a voice. It doesn't have a cadence or a tone to it. It's just thoughts. You know what I'm saying? It's there's no, I can't think of something. And unless I'm thinking specifically of you, then I'll hear your voice. Or if I'm just walking down the street, whatever thoughts come in my head, you can't hear that. externally, right? So that's where it gets tricky because you don't know what thoughts are truly yours and which is coming from whoever or whatever source that actually put it there. And sometimes it's subliminal.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to like figure out, like, why did I think that? Where'd that come from?
And sitting with it.
You know what I'm saying? And sitting with it.
That's so important is to sit with that, whether you're actually meditating or you just pause
Mm-hmm.
when those moments happen. It's like, wait, is that mine?
Right.
What is that? It's like, or just letting it go. Be like, what is that? That's not even, just let it go, let it speak. You know, so that's been my, that's where I'm at on mine. So
good shit. Good shit.
Cool. All right. So
my turn.
Turn around. Let's go.
All right. I'll see you later.
This gets real.
All right.
Really, I gave him the fake questions. So, Edmund, what has been your evolution as a man where you are right now, up to this point?
Man, so I come from a family of mostly women. It's like me, my brother, my granddad when he was here, and my cousin.
Okay.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of, so there wasn't a lot of like, this is what a man should be, but I didn't have a lot of examples either. Me and my granddad didn't really get along. So it was mostly my dad and maybe like one or two influences like from media or something like that.
Gotcha.
So growing up in a house where
just real quick, what were the what's like one of the major influences you had?
Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was a huge influence on me, but it was before I got into his mindset, just the fact that he would talk his shit, he would say what he wanted to say, but he had everything he needed to back it up. You know what I'm saying? That was like, oh, that's a man. You know what I mean? So yeah, Muhammad Ali was a big influence. Bruce Lee, I mean, that just kind of goes into the martial arts part of it, but first and foremost was my pops. So I was able to watch him very closely because my grandma was sick. She had, no exaggeration, I think she had at least 3 different cancers before it actually took her.
Wow.
So watching him being able to, like you said, being a protector, a provider, a guardian, I got all that from him. It was really about how to show love to other people, which is, it's not backwards, but I look at those as like softer skills. You know what I'm saying? By being able to take care of your people is a soft skill. The hard skills are like the combat, the standing your ground, building a business, all that stuff. I was introduced very early to what's it like to be a family man? What does it mean to take care of your family and be the rock? You know what I mean? My mom told me all the time that I was her rock, but I didn't necessarily have one. You know what I'm saying? Like I had my parents, I spent a lot of time by myself because I was the youngest. And they had to go out and work and all that, like latchkey kids, you know what I'm saying? Like basically, the 90s, like TV raised me type of thing. But it was interesting because with that, I did spend a lot of time with my thoughts and trying to figure out who I wanted to be in life. So, but my real introduction into manhood didn't come until I would say I was in high school. Because I had a girlfriend. I had a girlfriend that she lived in a rougher part of town, and she would have problems with people every now and again. But she had an older brother, and I never met him. But she told me one day that she had relied on her family, the men in her family, basically, to protect her and not me. I'm your boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, well, I'm your man. Why wouldn't you come to me to help him? And she's like, well, that's not what you're here for. Or that's not your role, because she had an older brother and a dad. And I knew them, they would get active. So, but I wasn't that guy. You know what I'm saying? I had no street cred. I wasn't in the streets. You know what I'm saying? I was a soft kid. So when I heard that, I was like, she doesn't trust me to protect her, which led back to my childhood. Was like, I'm not a man. I can't do the things a man is supposed to do. So then that was my introduction to martial arts. I found a boxing gym maybe the next week. You know what I'm saying? I needed to find a way to protect my girl. I mean, we're not together no more, of course. That was years and years ago. But that was my introduction to where my flaws truly were, because I wasn't a pacifist. I was angry like most kids are, but I didn't have the wherewithal to realize where my shortcomings were, and I wasn't very combative. I was very soft. So
I was fucking combative. My journey started with me getting my ass kicked. So that's a whole different thing.
You know what I'm saying? And there was like light bullying every now and again. You know what I'm saying? Because like I was a big kid, but I didn't play sports for real. You know what I'm saying? So I think this might have been after graduation, honestly. But yeah, then I got into a boxing gym that slowly turned into, kickboxing and other arts. And then, I ended up where I am now.
And did you start seeing some of that, some of those attributes that you were looking for getting into martial arts?
Not at first.
Okay.
Not at first. It was more for fitness. It was more just for trying to gain confidence, more or less.
Okay.
But I didn't start seeing that. I kind of had to bring that out of myself. I saw a funny thing happens when you learn martial arts is because it's for a little bit, it is about finding your capability as a man or as a person in general. I always think about it like the martial arts movies, like Shaw Brothers and all that stuff. It starts with, I want revenge and I need to get in physical shape. But then somewhere along the line, it switches to, I'm okay. I am becoming the man or the person who I need to be. And then it's not so much wrestling with the world, it's wrestling with yourself and finding peace in your, what else is there?
More of a spiritual journey. It goes from a physical one to more of a spiritual one.
Exactly. And if subliminally, if there's always a Shaolin temple, there's always a religious aspect to it, because you go in there angry, just trying to learn how to fight to take on the world. But then you end up,
and you find your
you find your, well, I was gonna say this is corny, but like you end up finding yourself or fighting yourself, and then you gain those things kind of along the way, and then you don't need to go out and do that thing anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it very much started with trying to be a man to protect my girl, and then it became figuring out what manhood is to me, and how can I be the best man that I can be for myself. And then that energy translates to other people wanting to join you or try to figure it out for themselves, and you become a conduit for people to kind of bring themselves into this thing as well. So yeah, I had a kind of a roundabout way of saying that. It started with something external, and then I was able to build those questions and figure out what that meant for me internally, and just be okay with who I was. Yeah, I was able to get that strength that a lot of people covet, but it didn't become my entire existence. Martial arts, for a little while, it became my persona, I guess you could say. But I was never the guy out there going out to start fights and nothing like that. I was just able to find my way through the chaos. That way.
There you go. Nice. So how do you personally build confidence?
I'm the same as you. I like to challenge myself. I didn't know that about myself until I got into martial arts. I haven't fought a tremendous amount. I plan on fighting more in the future, but it is just a matter of, pushing my physical limits. And then that became pushing my spiritual limits or pushing my mental limits.
Which you find both. When you're pushing those physical limits, you can't push a physical limit.
They're inseparable.
Weak mentally.
Exactly.
That's not gonna work.
When a funny thing happens when you're building your body, your mind just tends to follow. And that's a good gateway to the mind, is through the body. When you're physically exhausted and you have nothing left to kind of pull from as far as reserves, you have to find them. And it normally is coming from your mind. We have tremendous untapped potential, but we don't know how to access it because we don't know how to go within and kind of pull those things out of ourselves. So building confidence for me is very much studying the knowledge. I like to read a lot. So whatever I read, I like to put into practice wherever I can. And I like to push my physical limits. And also now, like you were saying, spiritually, I've gotten to the point where, for the most part, my body is where I want it to be. Right now I'm in the best shape of my life because I've pushed myself physically and mentally. Mentally, it's a little bit harder work, but you have to take the time to sit with yourself and figure out what all this life in general, what does that mean for you? And spiritually, it is meditation, but I've come to find a new definition for meditation.
So speaking of that, that kind of flows into our next question. So what's your focus as far as self-mastery goes now? What are you focused on? What's the focus there?
Man, so for me now, self-mastery is mastering my thoughts, emotions, and actions. I can't even say I've mastered all of them because it's self-mastery, not self-mastered. Even throughout this whole process, me being able to drop, 60, 70 pounds, me being able to move across the country, all this other type of things that I've done that helped me build confidence and going out and getting the job that I think I deserve and all this kind of stuff. It's all a process. There's always a little bit of that like imposter syndrome that kind of comes in. So, but what that looks like to me is taking the emotion out of whatever I'm doing so that I can better understand what's actually happening, more or less using logic to kind of move through life. And in those instances where I feel overwhelmed emotionally, being able to say, okay, this is what it is. This is not the end of the world. And if it is, there's a way to kind of not circumvent that, but there's a way to navigate it. And with your thoughts, emotions, and actions, they all have to be aligned. Right now, I'm trying to align my emotions, thoughts, and actions, because whatever you think has an emotional reaction to it, and then people move off of that impulse. It's not being so reactionary. It's more being it's more having a proper response to things, because it's all like, it's, think about it this way. Your thoughts are your mind, your emotion is your heart, your actions is your body. Everything starts up here, whether you're upset, whether you're happy, whether you're, whatever the case may be, your thoughts are going to give you some kind of emotional reaction. And it's up to you to differentiate whether that's truly your thoughts in the first place. And then you can kind of tamper that emotional reaction to it, because that's where I call it the spark. That's where a spark comes from. Whatever action you're going to do first has an emotional component to it. And that emotion probably only came through because you had a certain thought. You say, oh man, I can't have, I really like chocolate, but I know it's going to mess up my weight or whatever. So, your thought process is, I want chocolate. Emotionally, you're like, yeah, we want chocolate. But then you're like, did I deserve the chocolate? Did I earn the chocolate? And then you're like, damn, I can't go get the chocolate. That you've now stopped that you've now stopped that action, because you realized, okay, I have to do something to earn this reward. And that's just a basic example, but it's the same chain of command for everything. Once you master your thoughts, or at least get to a point where you can differentiate which thoughts are actually yours and the thoughts you want to think, you can then control what affects you emotionally. Because if it's not something that, if your thoughts aren't yours, you shouldn't have an emotional reaction to it. If you don't have an emotional reaction to it, you don't have to physically do anything to get retribution or enact on it, because you understand that's got nothing to do with me. When you start thinking the thoughts that you do want to think, you have the emotional reactions that you want, then you can go out and fulfill those desires.
There you go. So he mentioned
a lot. Sorry.
So he mentioned chocolate. So we're gonna do a challenge for those of you watching and listening. Which one of us is a chocolate fiend?
Right.
We talked about it in our last podcast. One of the last podcasts. It's like, so you've been paying attention. Right. Put down in the chat, in the comment section. Which one of us is the chocolate fiend? It's like just put that down. You get warrior points for that.
Ooh, warrior points.
Yeah. You can't
I need to make that a thing.
You can't buy anything with them right now. But you get them. You get them though. It's a win. It's a win. You get points. It's like it's like McDonald's bucks without McDonald's.
Right. For sure.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. And it sounds like that's that's a big piece. That the links is that I love the way you put that. The mind can affect the emotions can affect your actions or your body. It's like, because so many people don't realize that connection that there is. They just think that it's like, oh, I just got mad. It's like, no, something initiated that feeling. The question is like, what was it? Is it something, what were you thinking?
You heard something you didn't like.
Because nothing happens to us that we don't have a reaction to. If I punch you in the chest right now, you're going to have something's going to come across your mind mentally. It's going to initiate some feeling. If I hit you in the chest and you're like, that didn't hurt at all, then there's not going to really be an emotional reaction to it. Or, if I hit you in the chest, you're like, how dare he's disrespecting me, da-da-da-da-da-da. You're going to have that emotional reaction, and which is going to lead you a lot of times to make that, physical reaction, that physical response. So that's a super important thing, I think, to talk about, so that I'm really glad you brought that up. So.
And real quick before we move on, martial arts is perfect for that, because that's all about. I've always said martial arts is like the most visceral way for you to be able to handle life, because it's combat. You are actively trying to punch me in the face or the chest or whatever, or choke me out, or lock me up or something. And it's, how do I respond to this without emotion, be as effective as possible, and maybe like win this exchange. It is chess, not checkers. You know what I'm saying? That's another one of those, like, can you get punched in the face and not like go cry about it or be angry or something? And if you can do that and you can still get your lick back or whatever you want to call it, there's a way to handle everything. And sometimes you can, when you're sparring, you get punched in the face and you're like, that was good. You know what I'm saying? Keep doing that.
I had a client pop me like a good one, I think like last week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were going around sparring a little bit. He popped me really good, and I was like, all right.
You know what I'm saying?
But I've also had those moments where it's like it goes the opposite way.
Yeah.
You know, where I spar with a dude, and we were supposed to be sparring, and he was looking for a real fight.
Right.
And he hit me, and I was like, I just remember cocking my head to the side and looking back at him and be like, I need to stop right now.
Right.
Because I'm about to go to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
We're about to go from sparring to like, we're going to outback, you know, Kumite style. You know, it's like we went from sparring to it's about to be Kumite.
Right.
In this piece, we're gonna wrap the hands in gloves and glass and everything out back. It's like we're about to go because you really want to fight. And you know, if I had to stop, I was like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Even in those control situations,
like
people don't know the difference, and they'll get upset because you were able to land a good hit on them that they weren't expecting. And then it's not that they're upset with you, even it's that they're upset with themselves that they let themselves get in that situation, even in training. But you know, it's a everyday trying to figure out, okay, why do I have this reaction to this? How can I fix it? And it's not saying be emotionalist. That's not it at all. But just having the correct response to whatever's going on and what that means to you.
Yeah, that's super important, man. I think this is great.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, you know, the biggest things, guys, was just figuring out, you know, opening up more about who we actually are. You know, that's the big thing. He and I talked not too long ago about just a lot of these guys on the internet, you don't know, you know, it's like, oh, they're this expert at this, and we're not saying we're an expert at any of the stuff we're talking about, but you know, I've had a lot of life experience in, you know, in different things, in different areas that I think are valuable, not only for us, but, you know, for other people to learn. But a lot of guys out there you don't know their background. You know nothing about this dude. Supposedly he's this guru or this expert at this, or he's talking on these talking points, and it sounds good. It sounds great. Even the information might be valid, but you know, where's the source? Where's this coming from? You know, who is this? You know, this mystery man or men on the internet?
Who is this man?
who think they can just speak to us,
right?
You know, willingly, and we're supposed to listen to them. Why? Why should I listen to you?
Right.
You know, what perspective do you have that I can connect with? And that's the biggest thing is, you know, building that rapport, building that connection. You know, it's like the more you know about us, I think the more you can kind of see where we're coming from and realize that, you know, we're just here to help. You know, it's the biggest thing. It's like just here to help. You know, it's like the things we learn, it's not just for us. It's, you know, we can bring other people and bring that knowledge, you know, so that maybe you don't have to make some of the same mistakes, you know, we've made. Or go through the same challenge. You can skip that step and, you know, go faster. Is like, man, that's beneficial. You gotta be willing to give.
Yeah.
You gotta be willing to give.
That's a big part of it, because as a man, you are expected to give, for one.
Yeah.
And your ultimate goal is to be a provider, but you want to be a provider of value.
Yeah.
You want to give, especially to younger men or younger boys and things like that, because they're going to have to go through the same exact thing you're going through. You know what I'm saying? Are you going to be able to be a source of confidentiality or be a source of true knowledge so that they can take it on and go to the next person? Because this doesn't stop. It doesn't stop.
And it ends up being, you know, iron sharpening iron. You know, you guys are going to have perspectives that we haven't had. He's had situations happen that I haven't had. You know, I've had situations that I have that he can feed off of, and vice versa. It's like just as much as when I'm talking, you know, not just talking to you guys, I'm talking to myself as well. Right. With a lot of this stuff. So, you know, I think it's a way for us to kind of come together and build something more. And like I said, you know, really start to put that fight back in the men.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, this has been episode 3 of the Warriors Way Home podcast. We love being able to talk to you guys. We love talking to each other. This has been great. I've definitely picked up some gems from this conversation, so I appreciate you, Travis.
Sure, same.
Make sure to find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, eventually Instagram, TikTok,
OnlyFans.
We're gonna be. That's it. We're everywhere.
$10 per pick. Just saying. That's where we're the socks.
He's obviously got some shit going on.
I don't want to get anybody too excited. That's why we're the socks.
So check us out everywhere podcasts can be found, and we will see you guys on the next one.
All right. Peace out, guys.